Welcome to Tasty Tuesday, brought to you by Transition Nutrition and Fitness Coaching. I'm Angie, and I'm here every Tuesday to bring you a new and delicious whole food, plant-based recipe that you can incorporate into your family's weekly meals. Now that it's fall, it's time to start thinking about some soups and stews and snacks that are easily portable, have leftovers for the next day, or you could put in your lunch to take to work or your child's lunch to take to school. Today we're going to be making a delicious butternut squash puree soup that will be topped with a tad bit of cashew cream and a little bit of date syrup. It is a perfect combination of cinnamon and nutmeg, apples, and squash. We're going to start off on the stovetop today by sauteing some of our ingredients before we start our actual soup. So I'm going to take this up to high or medium high, and I'm going to start with just a splash of unsalted vegetable stock, and I'm going to be sauteing the onions, celery, garlic, and sage. So I have 2 cups of chopped onions, 1 1/4 cups of diced celery, 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, and 3 tablespoons of ground sage. And we're going to saute this together until the onions become soft and a little bit translucent. Now that our onions are all softened, we're going to add all of the rest of our ingredients to our big stock pot. We have 10 cups of cubed butternut squash that has been peeled and cubed. And I'm going to put in the little insert the picture of the size of the squash I used. I used about 1 1/2 to get my 10 cups. Next, we're going to add 2 cups of chopped apples, 2 cups of chopped carrots. And today, for all of this chopping, I used my slice chopper, or my Zliss chopper, depending on how you say it, to chop up all these veggies, but made it go much, much faster. I'm going to put in 6 cups of unsalted vegetable stock, and we may end up adding a little bit more later. 1 1/2 teaspoons of Benson's Table Tasty salt substitute, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 1/2 teaspoon of white pepper. We're going to give that a good stir and bring it all up to a low boil. Then we'll reduce the heat to a simmer, and we'll continue simmering it until the squash and all of the other veggies are nice and soft. Now that our squash is all tender, you want it just very, very, very tender, we're going to use our immersion blender and puree our soup. Now, if you don't have an immersion blender, you can also put batches of it in your Vitamix or your blender, but just be very careful you don't overfill it, because it will make it expand when you spin it in the blender, and if you're not careful, you'll end up with it all over your cabinets and all over your kitchen. So I like the immersion blender, or the stick blender. They call it a lot of different names. But you have to be careful if you have a non-stick pan that you don't scrape this on the bottom of your non-stick pan. All right, so now we're going to puree the soup. You'll know you're completely pureed when you don't see any more large lumps of squash or apple in your soup, and it's all nice, almost the consistency of an applesauce. And now we'll be right back and see it plate. Here we have our finished butternut squash puree soup, topped with the sweet cashew cream from episode 7 and a tiny swirl of date syrup and a few raw pumpkin seeds to garnish. I know you'll love this fall flavorful soup as much as my family does. If you'd like to see other recipes from the channel, you can see them here and here. And please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. Also, share with your friends and family. We're so close to that 500 subscriber mark, where we're going to do a new giveaway of my favorite kitchen gadget, the Zliss chopper. So stay tuned, and until then, remember, plants are the best medicine.